took that are marketed as a health food. Some of these shakes contain dangerous trans fats
that clog your arteries and force you to store fat cells.
They also generate uncontrollable cravings.
And that's why it's so important for you to target your belly fat using this formula instead. When you take the Okinawa Flat Belly Tonic before 10 a.m. once a day, your body will force fat cells to melt, to release harmful toxins and shrink your belly. Stick with me, because I'm about to share the fat melting formula with you. To know how to use this formula, you have to remember what Dr. Tamaki said. Levels of the C-reactive protein shoot through the roof when you inflame your lungs from inhaling smoke.
The reason this is important is because a couple of decades back, when I was a young firefighter, I saw this very formula in action. At the time, I used to work the pipes with Dempsey, a brave but overweight rookie who I'd taken under my wing.
As we tackled a blaze one night, Dempsey inhaled some toxic smoke and suffered from severe coughing fits and fatigue. And one old-timer firefighter, Greg, knew exactly what to do. He told us Dempsey's coughing was the type of dangerous smoke from an older building that filtered through gas masks, inflaming Dempsey's lungs. It would take months or even years for him to recover if nothing was done about it fast. Greg, who spent some of his childhood in Japan, brewed an unusual drink from a mix of berries and leaves for Dempsey. We thought this was a strange old remedy at the time, but it seemed to instantly fix the dangerous irritation inside Dempsey's body. And what happened next was astonishing. Dempsey's belly fat that hung out over his belt started to shrink. After 3 or 4 days of drinking Greg's strange drink, we could already see that Dempsey was losing weight fast. He'd always be tightening his belt.
It got to the point where his belly was shrinking so fast, I wanted to take him to see a doctor about it.
Dempsey was a guy who couldn't even lose his belly fat when he worked out every day. But only weeks later, Dempsey had suddenly become one of the leanest, fittest guys in the fire station. He'd lost 20 pounds of stubborn flab from his belly and love handles. At the time, we just thought he was doing a starvation diet. But Dempsey later told me he was eating all his favorite foods such as fries, cheeseburgers, and beer. And it was the special drink that melted his fat away so fast. When he took that drink every morning, he felt great and was full of energy, bright-eyed and ready for the job at any time.
I remembered this entire incident after Susan came back from the hospital, but I had no way of contacting Dempsey. The clock was ticking, and I knew at that point I had to do something.
There had to be a way to target this dangerous blood protein, or my sister could lose her life and young Jordan would lose his mommy. Dr. Tamaki had returned to Japan, so I urgently sent an email to the address that he gave to Susan earlier. I waited 3 days for a response, but none came. So that weekend, I got to work like a man possessed, researching medical journals in a library nearby. After a few hours, I finally stumbled on a book and a couple of journals where I found out more about C-reactive protein. In one of the journals, scientists reviewed 7 different studies proving that C-reactive protein was the single common factor in every overweight man or woman because it shuts down adiponectin, the most important weight loss hormone. In another journal, I found out that CRP was present in almost every one of the deadly health conditions that are killing millions of people. But even if doctors and researchers knew this much, they never mentioned once how to target this dangerous inflammatory blood protein. Instead, every single article on CRP in those medical journals finished with a note about how a big pharma company was working on a new weight loss drug that looked promising, but was still at least a few years away. And this made me mad. Dr. Tamaki had said that in Japan, they would target CRP and jumpstart the master fat-burning hormone using a natural mix of foods, herbs, and